like how we didn't even say who was going to host this, because I was like, I wonder who's gonna host this. But it's me. It's me. I'm alive. I am here. I am the gatekeeper. I'm the or keymaster. I forget what it is. Whoever Rick Moranis is, isn't he the keymaster? Yeah, he'd be the keymaster.
Yeah, he's the keymaster.
Yeah, because that's now thinking about that, I now understand that. Huh. What a keymaster and gatekeeper. All right. Well, we're learning a bunch of stuff. Birds and the bees you learn about on Gaming Plus podcast. This is our anniversary stream. If you'd like to see the rest of our anniversary stream, why don't you go on over to youtube.com/GetAtGaming, where you can see the full anniversary stream, where we talk about so many different things. We talked about TMNT, about how cool it is. We talked about how cool some of our people are who were in the chat earlier. Talk about a lot of cool things, cool people, cool things. Yeah, and now I put together. How many times have I watched Ghostbusters? I didn't realize the keymaster and the gatekeeper. A keymaster is the male, and the gatekeeper is a female. Oh, you're learning so much stuff today. It's a fun time. I'm not even drinking. But yeah, this is our kicking off year 4 of Get At Gaming. I am Alex, by the way, and yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say I'm Ben.
Oh yeah, he is Ben. I almost like introduced you for you, and then yeah, it's a different feel right now because we're learning about Ghostbusters. I ain't afraid of no ghosts. I'm just gonna let you say that until an actual ghost arrives. I ain't afraid of no ghost.
Don't jinx it.
You're just gonna see like a ghost back here. Oh man, I could do that for like one of our episodes. Just like have like a ghost that's just like intangible and just like sometimes just like mess around with the little settings, just make it appear and disappear.
I mean,
like a haunted stream.
We actually do know.
We do.
Ghost hunters.
Yes, we do. Local. I don't want to say what they are because I don't know what they're called nowadays. But yeah, no. My current boss, I guess, yeah, was a ghost hunter, ghostbuster, whatever, like an actual one. Interesting times. Yeah,
I love shows. By the way, I used to watch several of them on Sci-Fi Network and when they reach other places. Now, if you ask me to go on a ghost hunt for real, no, absolutely not.
I barely remember those shows on Sci-Fi Network and stuff like Ghost Hunters and stuff. I don't remember those. I only know about like hearing other podcasts talk about them because like Jesse Cox, who's like a well-known podcaster, YouTube person, and Krendor, they have a podcast that they don't need our help, but Cox and Krendor in the morning. It's an excellent podcast. I highly recommend everyone listen to it. That's kind of how I modeled this podcast a little bit after. But they always talk about how it's so ridiculous how there's just these people who are like, I'm gonna fight you, ghost. I'm gonna fight you. It's like that's what I think of when I think of ghost hunters. It's like, I'm not afraid of you, ghost. I'm gonna kick your butt, and then they get afraid of something because like something moves.
Well, there was a show on Netflix. I think it's like I don't remember what it was. So basically, the premise was these were all people that worked in the paranormal world, and they were gonna spend 30 days in like these haunted locations that were like severe. And so the first couple was like, well, the first thing I like to do is piss them off really well. And I'm like, okay, so let's just go through history. Anytime that you decide that you want to piss something off first and then work through it is never a good idea. It's like a bullfighter thing, like, hey, I'm going to really piss this bull off first, and then I'm going to fight it. No. But like, I only watched the first couple episodes, and I'm like, okay, so I watched Ghost Hunters. Those two guys split off into their own couple shows. I did watch that Demon House documentary about the house in Gary. I do like that stuff. And if we ever get a chance to get one or two of those guys on a podcast to just talk about it, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, this is the Get At Gaming Plus podcast where we talk about anything we want to. Yeah, the show, you don't dictate the show, we make it ourselves. But if you enjoy it, we appreciate it. We talk about mostly video game stuff. We talk about nerdy stuff. We sometimes talk about anime when I try to bring up how I barely watch any, but I'll just talk about all the good stuff. I'll be like, hey guys, you should really watch Neon Genesis Evangelion. It's a really good anime about depression and mechs, and it's really cool. Yeah, that's how I sound most of the time. That's how I imagine I sound sometimes when I'm talking about something I'm like semi passionate in. That might happen.
I wouldn't say you sound like that.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. I don't know. That's just. Oh man, I don't even know if he's watching. But friend of mine, I had this thing where it's like, oh yeah, this is how every junior high kid sounds. Like, they sound like this, and hey, you want to go play some Halo 3 later? Like that's what we imagine like our junior high selves sounding like. So I don't know, just without getting into any further details, like that's just what I think of when I think of a kid or like a nerdy kid. I'm just, hey, we're gonna go play some Yu-Gi-Oh. Do you want to play some Yu-Gi-Oh? I got the left leg Exodia, and that's it though. I guess I can't summon Exodia, but you know I got that left leg. It's pretty sweet, huh? Like yeah, that's what I think about. But this is a podcast about nothing, where we can talk about anything we want to. Today, again, we're kicking off our 4th year. We have had 3 years behind us. And yeah, it's been a fun time. Man, I like how I said I wasn't gonna read the chat, and now I'm reading the chat about the left leg. The only piece anyone ever had, exactly. If you want to see the chat, I guess, or see any of this live stream again, it is on youtube.com/GetAtGaming, where you can go into the lives section, and you should see this whole live stream that we're gonna try to have go for about 4 hours, I think. Yeah. Or 5 hours, I guess. Wow, yeah, a lot. But I don't really have any structure to this. I thought we kind of just talk about what we've been doing. Talk about how we feel about the show a little bit, kind of like how we did earlier in the podcast or in the beginning of the stream. And then probably talk about like things that we got for Christmas, things that we got on our breaks, or things that we want, things we've been doing. So at the beginning of the show, we always do something. It's like hidden trophies, or I don't even know anymore. Hidden trophies and like stuff that we get. I don't know. Hidden trophies and swag. I don't remember what else I call this show, but I don't have a rubric in front of me or anything like that today.
I think it was hidden trophies and what we're playing.
What we were playing, yes. When we were playing, what we are doing. Maybe we should call it that from now on. Yeah. Because we're not just always playing stuff. We're not just a video game podcast. Or as Hammer Morty says, I'm more than just a hammer. But yeah, let's go over our hidden trophies and stuff. Ben, do you want to kick it off and talk about cool things that you got over break or anything like that?
I want to start the record off with saying, in life, you need to just find that woman that gets you, or man, whatever your preference is,
or Muppet.
That or Muppet. That is who you marry. So, my wife.
So, no, you have to say it. You have to say it like Borat.
My wife.
My wife. Okay, there we go. You said my wife, so you have to say my wife. So anyway, continue.
So she did buy me the iPod. I got these.
The pros. Yeah, they're nice.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea how good these were.
I have those.
Those are fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
That I didn't know about, but I'm gonna move to the side here. If you can see my Master Chief helmet back there, this is why I said you should be with someone that gets you. So that was part of my Christmas there. It does. So there's the helmets light up on the sides. It does actual quotes with the guy that played Master Chief's voice.
That's awesome.
That's sick. She also got me an Evercade, which is like I would say the dopest handheld ever. I was playing Earthworm Jim, and it looked better than that. They also do like arcade games on there, so like legit arcade. This was their first handheld. I wanted the newest one, but it's just really short supply. Um, as for what I was really doing, I spent a lot of time catching up on things I hadn't watched.
Okay.
So I finished the Halo series.
All right.
It finished.
I didn't watch it. I didn't try it at all because it's on like one of those channels I don't even have.
I renewed my Peacock membership so I could watch it.
I think I saw it on DVD at like a Target recently too.
Maybe. It is. I don't know. I thought it was pretty decent. There's a lot more going on that doesn't seem very Master Chief-ish.
Well, I remember the first thing, was it episode 1 or episode 2, where Master Chief, how far are we into this podcast? I can talk about sex. Oh, I guess I did it earlier. We talked about the gatekeeper and the keymaster. But yeah, I remember people complaining that it's like Master Chief doesn't get laid. He doesn't have sex because they took out that thing out of all the Spartans, and that's why. And yeah, they were really upset about that.
Well, there is a scene where it shows when he gets Cortana. Spoilers if you've not seen it. I will probably say something not meaning to, but I just wanted to say spoilers. He takes out his behavioral chip that modifies his behavior where he has no emotions. So that was the first thing. And the other thing is this is when he first gets Cortana. And so, but I will tell you the battle scenes were awesome. The digital graphics looked awesome. I thought that was great. Making him look superhuman was awesome.
Yeah.
And bigger was cool. Another thing I watched was I watched a couple movies that I wanted to watch.
Okay.
I watched The Glass Onion, which is the sequel to Knives Out. If you have Netflix right now before they go to their weird payment, or non-sharing program, you have to watch that movie. It is so good.
Yeah, my some of my family, my sisters and my dad watch Knives Out, and then they watched Glass Onion. I did not join them for either. Instead, I stayed upstairs and I watched Addams Family and Addams Family Values.
Hey, those are great films.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong there. I finished that series. I really spent a lot of time just watching like things. I think I watched Christmas Vacation way too many times to the point where we started comparing our people in our family, me and my wife's family, to Cousin Eddie. It was hard looking at people at Christmas because I'm like, oh my God, you're Cousin Eddie. Like legitimately.
So it happens.
Yeah. And just really kind of relaxing. I did start and I did get Final Fantasy Crisis Core, and I'm about 4.5 hours in. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It's been really fun. I played a shit ton of Halo. No lies. At this point now, I'm a silver 4, almost a silver 5. And it goes up to 5, and then you go to gold. The last medal that you would get is Onyx, and that's right after gold. So to say that I've been playing a lot of Halo is an understatement.
Sounds like a lot.
For me, it's just a quick. I can turn it on. I can play a couple rounds and be done. I did get a lot of games on sale. I know me and Alex were talking a lot. I did get that new Digimon game for Switch for $17.
I have not played it yet.
I'm telling you what, it jumped back up in price really quick.
Yeah.
I don't think they meant to do it for so cheap.
Yeah.
The last thing my wife got, and I'll talk about, is I got the Angry Video Game Nerd 1 and 2 for Switch. She got that for me. She bought it from Screenwave, which is crazy. They were out for the longest time, and I don't think they did a ton of copies of it. So I think this is like the last run.
Okay.
I've not booted it up either. I did play a little Animal Crossing in the winter or before Christmas because that's what you do.
Hang out with that snowman.
Yeah.
Try to roll some snowballs.
But it was just like a really fun, relaxing time. We watched, I think, almost every night we watched something when the kids went to bed, which is nice because we don't. With her job especially, we don't always get that luxury. So that was really nice to be able to do that. I before break, I told Alex, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna finish these games here, right? I did not finish any of those games, and I think the list that we talked about, I don't think I even booted any of them up. I did really quick. So during the holiday sale, I bought the Mega Man Anniversary Collection digitally. It was $30, which I felt was reasonable, and it comes with Mega Man Legacy 1 and 2, and then X1 and 2, and then Mega Man 11. I am almost done with Mega Man 1. I'm in Wily's Castle. And anyone that's been there knows that castle is super hard.
Yep.
But I just really enjoyed it, just hanging out with my family and my kids. And yeah, I watched more stuff than I'd actually played. So, what about you, Alex?
Over the break, I watched a lot of TV because I don't have TV at my house, like or cable, I guess I should say. So when I'm over at my parents or family or anywhere else, they generally have cable. So I watched a lot of the Game Show Network. I watched a lot of America Says and Family Feud and what's the one connection Chain Reaction.
Oh man, that's like some old school there.
Yeah, and then well, old school is the Match Game, like the old Match Game. Like, yeah, they show that at like noon or something every day, and it's great. I beat Sonic Frontiers. I did that because I wanted to delete it off of my hard drive to have space for other things. I had a issue with Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. I don't know if I told you about this, but I got a disc from Amazon as like a Christmas present. I opened it up on Christmas, and the PS5 won't read the disc at all.
That's weird.
Yeah, and it was from Amazon. So tried to return it, but we were UPS was way too busy, so I think we returned it later. I forget. But anyway, ended up getting a copy at a GameStop over there. Instead, putting that in, immediately it worked. So it was the disc that came from Amazon. It was busted for some reason. And I got that on the 26th, and I think I beat that game on the 28th. It's a pretty short game, honestly. I didn't beat it, but like I did all the story stuff. So it was about like 12 to 13 hours maybe for just story and some missions. Because like, yeah, you can get through that game pretty quickly if you are just playing for story and avoiding certain things. But yeah, I really enjoyed it a lot. I love Zack. Zack Fair is one of my favorite characters in all of Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy VII especially. The ending of that game is always fun. Have you beaten Crisis Core, like the original, or anything? Do you know what happens at the end?
No. So okay. I own. So I, for some reason,
I mean, I guess you know what happens at the end of because of like regular Final Fantasy VII, right. like Zack is dead or whatever. People know that, but okay, you never actually beaten regular Crisis Core or anything like that before.
No.
Okay.
No. It's funny because I don't even think when it happened. I think it was like fall. I said, "Hey, I'm gonna start collecting PSP."
Right. Yeah.
We all laughed, and I'm like, got like 20 games now.
Jeez.
Which Alex knows this is a fad for me. So
yeah,
I'm gonna do it, and I haven't even booted my PSP up in a while. What will happen is I will do it, and then I'll be like, you know what? I'm kind of bored with this. Initially, I want a Vita, is what I really want.
Yeah.
And whatnot. So I own it because when I started buying, I bought games that I wanted, not like the ones there. Which is it's funny, when I bought it, I only paid $15 for it. That PSP one has gone way up in price.
Wow.
So I think it's like 27 to 30 now if you have it complete.
I do. I have it on I have a Japanese copy of it as well.
I will tell you, like, I remember playing it a long time ago when I first got my PSP, but this is the best way to play it.
Yes, because they updated the the combat and stuff, and they just make it a lot better. So yeah, I guess I won't spoil the ending, but then for you, since you haven't played it, I don't know if anyone who's also watching maybe hasn't. But yeah, it gets sad. Like the but the during that whole game, I didn't enjoy Zach's new voice actor. The direction especially, because it seemed like he was fine. It's just that old voice actor versus new voice actor, there's clearly like a better like ADR, like a director in the background being like, all right, you should take another take of this, you should give a little bit more emotion this way. And it seems like there's just weird deliveries in certain places. I don't know, like just like lack of emotion in certain points. Like I've seen the clips of original Zach like yelling at Angeal, and then you see like the new clip and it's just like less less yelling. It's more of just like, what did you do, Angeal, like that, instead of like being actually mad at him. But I will say he grew on me later as the game progressed. All the other voice actors were perfectly fine, in my opinion. Like I felt like they knew what they were doing and they were given enough time to do it well. But I think it's just because Zach is behind you and he's way too cocky and confident, that it just might have been a little overkill to just see him continuously. But yeah, no, the ending's great. I will say, if you are trying to rush to play this game because of the new Final Fantasy like remake and stuff like that, don't bother to rush, because this is a faithful remake, or a remaster, I should say, because they call it a remaster. I want to say they don't even call it a remake. There's nothing related to Final Fantasy VII Remake. There's nothing related to the post-credit scenes of Final Fantasy VII Remake or the DLC. This is the original game, just looking nicer. So, yeah, because that was my concern. That's why I rushed through the story super fast, because I wanted to make sure that there wasn't any I don't know, like weird spoilers for the next remake game. And there wasn't a cutscene, there wasn't anything.
Yeah, and so far I've been pleasantly. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's great.
You know, so
yeah, I don't know. I have a bunch of stuff here. I got a lot of Game Gear games recently because they're really cheap. So I got some for Christmas, and then I also got some from like my older sister. So like I got like Batman Returns, which is, that's Penguin, right? That's Penguin and Catwoman.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really good. It's a really good platformer, like a side-scrolling platformer. And yeah, it looks amazing on the Analog Pocket since I have that adapter. I played a little bit of Home Alone, which plays just like that weird NES game. So like, you know, like you're just setting traps and all that. Yep. That's what the game is. It's just setting traps. Let's see. I didn't play any of them, but I got I tested some of them. I got was it the Lucky Dime or something? It's a Donald Duck game. And then I got a Mickey Mouse. It's not Castle Illusion. It's like another. It's like something of illusion. Maybe Forest of Illusion. I don't know. Wait, no, that's a Zelda thing, I think. I think it's Link to the Past.
They did do a second one of those.
Yeah, this one I forget. I don't know if it's in here or not, but I have Sonic Chaos. I have Jurassic Park for Game Gear. That was an interesting one to play. Okay, Home Alone is in here. What is this? Land of Illusion is what I have. And yeah, I also got Sonic Triple Trouble, and I got some more games for Game Gear. And then got like Sonic 2 again, since I just can't find my copy, so I just bought a new one, since that's like one of the easiest ones to find. I got a cool Lupin book that I don't really want to it's over here, but I feel like it won't do it justice on the on the screen, but the last thing I'm gonna show for what I got, I guess, besides other games, I bought Elden Ring. I don't know if I told you that. I told some chat. Because like
we were talking about it, and you're like, "Hey, I bought Elden Ring."
Well, because it was a buy two get one free for used. So I got Judgment for PS5. I got Elden Ring, and I got Final Fantasy Stranger in Paradise or whatever. In Final Fantasy Origin, that was is it Origin or Origins? One of them is the PS1 game, but whatever the newest one is, that was cheaper if you bought it new, or $5 more, because GameStop's weird with their pricings and stuff. So I had to do some math in my head and be like, well, I'm doing the buy two get one free, so I am saving money by doing this and buying this one used for a little more versus whatever. So I ended up just pulling the trigger. I was trying to find Lost Judgment for used, and they didn't have it at that GameStop. But yeah, no, the last things that I got, I don't know if you know this yet, but I got The World Ends With You, the strategy guide for it, for the original DS game. I found that $4.99 is how much I bought it for.
Really?
Yep, it was at some random game store that I generally don't go to, because I once found fake games there. And so, but that was like years ago. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go. And they have a lot of cool stuff there. But then, yeah, they do have like a section of like cartridge games that are just clearly just fake, but they don't tell you they're fake.
Nice.
But and then yeah, I showed this on the servers and stuff. But I got Dot Hack, Volume 1, 2, and 3 for the strategy guides. So like, yeah, there's a lot of like stuff in here, like it's the dungeon maps and what battle level you should be in certain parts, and what monsters are here, what items you can get. Like, this would have been really, really helpful when I was grinding that one time earlier, because like, yeah, it just tells you everything. But yeah, otherwise, I don't know. I went to Kinokuniya. I think I took a picture of that. It's that Japanese bookstore. There's a few of them in the United States, but there's one in Chicago, so I stopped there while we were riding over to my parents' place, and yeah, it was a fun time. Saw a huge Totoro. Got a got a Lupin book from them. It's just a part 6 guide. It's all Japanese, but it has every single part 6 episode, and then just some like character like sketches and all that kind of stuff. So it's the only Lupin thing they had, because Lupin's not popular, I feel, in Japan, even though it's been going for 50 years. But you know, yeah, I'll grab it since it's here. This is the last thing for the show. I got this in the mail. Well, I sent it over to my parents because I wasn't sure when it was going to show up, and it actually showed up earlier than I showed up, because I was like, oh, I'm going to send it over there since I'm going to be over there anyway. But then it actually showed up like a week or two before I even got there. So I was like, man, I could have this shipped to my house. But this is like a Lupin, like, it looks like a booklet of part 5. It has like a coin on here. This is like a special edition, like a limited edition. It shows you like how many there are. It comes with this still like key art thing from the Castle of Cagliostro, which is like the movie. There's some pins in here that I can't see. There is a bookmark, and then also it says there are 1,000 of these limited editions. I have 459. So wow. Like, there's a little authenticity thing. And then finally is this actual book itself. It's heavy. It is the special edition of this, came with this slipcase for it. So 50 years animated of Lupin the Third, and it has like his little Lupin thing here. But yeah, it is a Lupin the Third guide of everything Lupin the Third for 50 years. So like you can go in here and go to I'm not going to that page. Like part 1, like the original part 1, and there's a thing for every single episode. There's like a little still and explanation of what happens in the episode, when it airs, who the director was. Does it for part 2, and they're all color coded on like on the sides. After part 2, then it starts with the movies, and then every single TV special and movie and series is all in here.
Wow.
Not every special has a screen capture or anything like that, or like the poster, but most of them do, and they talk about like things that need to be talked about, like influence and stuff. So there's this thing at the end where it talks about how like Great Mouse Detective, that old Disney movie, there's a part in that film where they're fighting inside a clock tower, that was inspired or homage to Lupin Castle Cagliostro, because there's a scene where they fight in a clock tower just like that, like almost identical. The scene from at the end of the movie when the water goes away and drains, and you see like the city, Atlantis, like the Disney movie Atlantis, the Lost Empire, took that into inspiration of like when Atlantis finally, I don't know, like rise, like when you see it, and even like I knew this, but the Simpsons movie where Bart is like rolling down the roof, like that's inspired by Castle Cagliostro as well. There's just so many things that like people watch this film, and they're like, I like this so much, I'm gonna put it in my movie, and they do. But yeah, no, it's awesome.
So, have you seen that Netflix has that it's like their movie's called Lupin?
Yes, because Lupin technically is a real, or not a real. He's a real literary character. Lupin, Arsène Lupin. So like if you play Persona 5, the main protagonist's first persona is Arsène. So Arsène Lupin, because he even has like a hat and he's a gentleman thief. But yeah, like that is a thing by is it Maurice Leblanc? I forget. But it's some author, and so he made the original Lupin years and years ago, and then Japan was like, I like that so much, I'm gonna make his grandson, and this is who it is now.
I often wonder that because it seems to have the same, I mean, him being a thief,
Yeah,
and all that. I've never watched them because they're in French, but and the dubs in any of those are just awful usually.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that Lupin film on Netflix, but yeah, I have not watched it as of yet. But I own a lot of Lupin the Third at least, and I own now, and the rest of it should be arriving probably next week. But I now own all of the Blu-rays of Lupin the Third that have ever been released in America, except the fourth season, because there's 2 copies of that, and then the 5th and the 6th season comes out I think next week or in a couple weeks. So I don't own any of those seasons because they're really expensive, because they're newer, but I'm waiting for a sale and then I'll pick those up eventually. But yeah, I don't know, it's really weird with part 4. There's a English only version and then there's a Japanese version, because the English version uses the footage from the Italian version, because I guess Italy had its own version of Lupin with like less, I think they got first actually before Japan, or aired there first, but like it has less scenes, and like scenes are played out a tiny bit differently. or at least with the timing, because it's built on like their dub, I want to say. Whereas the Japanese has like its own opening, and it has like a special episode and like stuff like that. So um, I don't know, I might buy them both eventually. I'm a fan of that dub cast, but I don't watch Lupin dubbed really. I don't really watch anything dubbed anymore, to be honest. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but
I was a big fan of dubbed. Like when I used to collect Jackie Chan films, I would get them in the original language.
yeah.
But a good idea of what's a good and bad dub is Kung Fu Hustle.
Oh yeah.
The voice acting for the dub is awful.
Yeah.
And the jokes don't make sense. But if you watch the original language subtitle, it's so much better.
Mm-hmm.
There were so many scenes I laughed at where I'm like, okay, so now this makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. I still watch a lot of my anime dubs just because sometimes I'm like, it's hard when like I'm just trying to sit there and watch it. I'm always doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to be able to do it and then like not have to look at the screen the whole time. But yeah, I get what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. It could just be a naivete or whatever, but there is a good time, in my opinion, where like dubbing for anime and video games and stuff are really, really good in like early 2000s to like 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
Like I guess it might have also been like the shows that were coming out at that time, but I feel like the voice direction and everything was excellent around that time. And then I don't know, as we get more and more of these other shows, I wasn't a fan of fat. I don't know how the process works, so I can't really judge it one way or the other. But I personally wasn't a fan of fast dubs, which is like what people do. I mean, it's a business practice now, essentially, where let's say, yeah, Demon Slayer comes out today, new episode. Let's just say, in about 2 weeks, there's going to be a dubbed episode, so it's off by 2 weeks. I think Bleach is doing that this season too, and other stuff like that. But also the good and bad thing about that is that you get all these no-name actors, so they get the experience, but they're also, I don't know, there's more of a deadline, I feel. So I don't know if that's also affecting it, but I feel like there's less quality, not necessarily from the actors themselves, but it could just be from the writing, from the direction. But again, I'm not that kind of person. That's just what I see personally as in here, as someone outside the ecosystem. I'd like to talk to someone who was actually a voice actor and see if that is true for the most part, because I know I don't know if they still do it, but like Sentai Filmworks, I don't think they release dubs at all until it comes out on Blu-ray. So like it's like how it used to be, where like they took their time on a show and worked on it and worked on it, and then it comes out eventually, and it comes out when it's ready. So I don't know. Again, I'm not really knocking on dubs or anything, but I prefer. At this point in my life, I'm used to Japanese subtitles and stuff like that. I mean, I saw during break, I saw the last Evangelion movie in theaters. I saw it last year on Amazon. It's available on Amazon Prime. You can watch it on there, but I don't like the subtitles on Amazon Prime. They're just not good. Especially when multiple people are talking at the same time, or if there's like a song playing at the same time as someone's talking. It doesn't know like when to do stuff, and Crunchyroll has that problem too sometimes. But it was enough to where like I love Evangelion so much that I wanted to watch it in the best way possible, and I did. So I saw it in theater, and it was still really, really good. I highly recommend it, but you have to watch everything else Evangelion first.
Yeah, I saw those on Amazon, and I'm like, I said I'd have to find a time where I could watch it with no one else here to bother me, or and after the little ones go to sleep.
Yeah, you don't want the little ones to see any boobies.
Yeah, no. So, but yeah, I totally agree with you on that. I think I've watched Kung Fu Hustle. I don't even know how many times I've watched it, but my dad watched it and said it was okay, and then I was like, now watch the actual language subtitle. He goes, oh, I hate watching it now. I said, no, seriously. And he's like, okay, it made more sense. Like the scene where the landlord's husband's like looking at people showering, and the joke you make in English dubbed is not as funny as the one in his language.
Yeah.
Before she kicks the crap out of him. I just so I get it. Especially with that, I just we're not knocking dubbed at all, but I'm just saying like sometimes it's pretty bad. So.
Oh, really quick, I personally don't like, and I found this out the hard way, I guess. We finally found a copy of Digimon Last Evolution, Kizuna, I think it's what it's called. It's the final Digimon farewell to the original cast of Digimon, and it came out like years later. I think it came out like last year, maybe, or 2 years ago. Honestly, I don't know. Time's weird. Yeah, I think it could come out in 2020 actually, and then came out on Blu-ray shortly after that. But it was localized by, I forget who, but the sub, and I watched it a different way you can't prove. But so I watched it that way, and like the sub for that, because it was a fan version, it had the names correct and all of that because you're watching Japanese. So TK is Takaru. There is Taichi instead of Tai, Yamato instead of Matt, Koshiro Izumi is Izzy. Like the names are different because that's what the names actually are in Japan. But when you go and watch this Last Evolution movie on Blu-ray and turn it on, and the subs are on, the subs say Matt. The subs say Tai. They say all the things incorrectly. I'm watching it in Japanese. Say the real name in the subtitles.
Yeah.
Like, it's just very annoying. And the thing that doesn't make sense, because I think it's the same people who localized the previous one. Digimon Tri was the last season that came out a little while ago. For that series, it was like all them all grown up again, but grown up in high school, I guess. Whereas this one's like college. That movie. They called everyone Taichi. They called them Yamato and all that kind of stuff. The only thing that was different was the evolutions, because the evolutions are screwed now, because that's just the way that we have stuff. Like how we have like in training, rookie, champion, ultimate, mega. They have like baby, baby 2, child, adult is champion. Then it is, let's see, perfect, and then ultimate. Because ultimate is supposed to be the highest version. And like, yeah, so that's always going to be the American version of that in anything, and at this point I'm fine with that. Or Gatomon is actually called just Tailmon, like that's its name. But honestly, I think Gatomon is a better name because Gato cat and everything, and it makes more sense because it is a cat instead of just Tailmon. It's just a stupid name. But so like, yeah, that wasn't correct either, but like everything else that mattered, like actual names of people and things, were all correct. But yeah, I don't know, that latest movie, that's why I didn't buy it for so long, and then I got like a used copy for like $6 recently, and I was like, yep, I'm glad I only spent $6 on this, because I'm still mad that it wasn't correct. I kept asking people, like on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. I put out multiple things like, before I buy this, like when it came out, does this have the correct subs? And people didn't know what I meant, and I said it, and then I never got a response for anyone. And lo and behold, I guess this is why. I even like said on their like official thing, I was like, does this have correct subs for names? And no one said anything. But I don't know, it's me ranting about things. I don't know, I feel like this honestly could just be the podcast. It's just ranting and talking about everything.
I mean, I think with it being the anniversary and us doing what we've been doing, That's perfectly fine. I do want to bring up one thing that happened while we were out.
Well, there's two things actually. I want you to bring up the first thing, and there's another thing.
Well, on previous podcasts, we had joked a lot.
Previously on Get Eye Gaming,
we made that Blumhouse said that they were going to produce a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, you know, we kind of joked about it and said, "Oh, it's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen." And the guy that owns Blumhouse is like, "Look," on Twitter, he's like, "We got a script. We're almost ready to go. I swear this is happening." I think it was last February or March. He said it, and so we're just joking and joking, and then all of a sudden during break, they announced the cast. And some of the big ones were Matthew Lillard as William Afton.
Zoinks.
Yeah, I know, right? It's just a weird seeing him, but I think if anyone remembers Scream, he played, someone that's messed up pretty well.
Yeah.
Josh Hutcherson as security guard, and Mary Stuart Masterson as I don't remember what her role was, but I'm like, these are like big names tied.
See the kid that had that Hulu series and was also on Hunger Games? Josh? Yeah.
That's what's weird, because he's a pretty big actor. We joke about Shaggy there doing like Shaggy's voice for years.
Yeah, it's really cool how like he is Shaggy now. Like now that he is ever since Casey Kasem passed away, like now he is Shaggy in all of the direct to DVD things and all the adaptations except the newest one. Yeah, like it's really cool to see that he's going back to his roots. He's doing something scary.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, I was talking to this to my son, who my 14-year-old, the Five Nights world has been his world for the last 9 years. Just he was little when he got into it. And I found it first. It was funny. It was an IGN article about this game called Five Nights at Freddy's. And so I showed it to him. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I need these." And so like he's been a huge fan ever since. But we were talking. He's like, "I don't know, man. All I see is Shaggy." And I'm like, when you get older, I'm going to show you Scream. He has to be a little bit old. He's not really into the gore and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he played this whole role, I guess I should say spoilers, but it's so old.
Yeah, it's so old.
Whole role, he was one of the killers and played it off so well. And then once they found out that whole scene there was fantastic acting.
Yeah,
especially when you get stabbed too deep. The whole "I'm feeling woozy," all that is just perfectly done. So I'm not worried about that. And William Afton is if I'm remembering correctly, I got a brief lesson from it from my son. He's the one that created the Five Nights characters.
Yeah.
So, I think it's a really dark role. I know they said they're trying to stick to a PG-13, but then as we were talking about it, you had told me something else that you had heard about this as well. That the Henson Company.
Yeah, for some reason I thought I heard that. I don't know if that's actually true or not. I don't know if that came up on your stuff, but I thought I heard that Jim Henson Company was helping with the animatronics, which makes sense.
Yeah, and I think if they do that, it will give that more of a creepier vibe than CG.
Yeah. What if they're just puppets? What if they're just like people with their hands up and it's just like,
oh my god,
haha, I'm Freddy Fazbear.
Well, they had to do something because I watched that one that Nicolas Cage did. That was a blatant knockoff of that. God, was that movie awful?
Yeah.
Just awful acting. Nicolas Cage did not say a single word in that whole movie whatsoever. It was just not good at all. It was an awful, awful movie. But I watched it because I was like, I want to see what a low budget version is compared to Blumhouse's probably stupid amounts of money. And I didn't realize this until before, but the Five Nights games in the following for Five Nights is way bigger than me and you ever thought.
Oh yeah, it has been. I think it fell off a little bit for a while because it became too mainstream with
Yeah,
all the books and stuff. But like for a while, like it was the biggest thing on YouTube. Like
yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that put. I think they. I don't know if they're still doing it, but like that's the thing that put like game theory and MatPat and all that stuff on the map was having all of that Five Nights at Freddy's stuff because there's just so much. Like there's enough drip fed information that you can just theorize and just be like, oh, this is gonna happen, and like you don't have to be right or wrong as long as you have enough evidence in one way or the other. You can just make a video however you want, and he just made a million of those videos.
Well, and I think when Security Breach was coming out, so I went back and I watched this is so I wanted to see if it was true or not. There was lots of comments about that state of play where they announced the Security Breach trailer.
Mm-hmm.
They showed the first trailer, and so I'm like, there was lots of talks about, oh my god, like 90% of the people there were for Five Nights at Freddy's because
Huh.
there was all like, been a rumor about it. And I watched it and I went through and was reading the comments and counting that they were right. There
Yeah.
were so many people commenting on that. It didn't even matter the other games. And I know Security Breach had issues and it didn't. Um, and I wonder what their sale number was because I feel like it was pretty decent.
Did
But
that game exist still in space? Because it looked like it was a space Five Nights at Freddy's in the
they
very
didn't.
first thing.
They didn't really say. Now I've watched. There's several endings. Number one, so I've seen one ending, and I won't ruin it for anybody. But there are several endings to that game.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if they explain where it's at, but they don't really say where it's at.
Because I thought that in the state of play thing, I thought we saw like a space station Five Nights at Freddy's location, like it either a space station or like it was like a I don't know, like the Jetsons, like something like high up in the sky.
The way it looks, because if you go when you play it, there's an underground
Okay.
there. So you have to hold the fort for a second because they're gonna have to go out.
Oh, that's totally fine. Actually, I might just finish the episode here, or at least call a little bit. I mean, you can still go, but I mean, yeah, well, I'll talk a little bit, and yeah, you can go.
Yeah, and then shut up. Hold 1 second here.
Yeah, you're good. But yeah, the last Five Nights at Freddy's is crazy. I've never personally got into it because I am afraid of everything. I don't like jump scares. But that is interesting to hear. Matthew Lillard, our boy Shaggy. I can't do his voice. Shaggy was on there in this movie now, so that's pretty cool. And then, like you said, all these other actors sounds pretty awesome. But the next thing I wanted to talk about, I don't have any graphics or anything like that for it, but I heard that I don't know why I almost said Final Fantasy VII. I have Final Fantasy stuck in my head. I heard that Rush Hour 4 is supposedly happening here soon. This comes from like I think a recent Jackie Chan interview, where they talk about like it sounds like it's happening more so, and now we just have to kind of wait on Chris Tucker. But I'm hoping it happens because I love. Everyone knows I love Rush Hour. I would love to have a Rush Hour watch-a-thon or whatever, Rush Hour marathon or Rush Hour commentary. I think would be great. Um, but yeah, there he is, and he's back. I was talking about Rush Hour 4 is like pretty much official now because of that Jackie Chan thing. Yeah, so like I'm very excited. And then I kind of also talked about how we um I don't even remember anymore. See, this is what I talk about the podcast. Like it just all kind of just goes away. But yeah, no, Rush Hour 4. Oh, right. We were talking about earlier. I don't know if it was during this podcast or before in the live stream on youtube.com/gaming. But we were talking about how like we should do like audio podcast or not audio podcast. That's what we're doing. Commentaries for movies and stuff. I think that'd be pretty fun to do. But yeah, Rush Hour would be a fun one. because I mean we've already done episodes about the first two, but I mean, yeah, I do a podcast or a commentary for Rush Hour 3 even. You know, we didn't even talk about it during that thing, but yeah, I'll give it another go. We can talk about why it fails a lot compared to the other two. But
there was a reason why there was only like after Shanghai Nights they didn't do a third one. I didn't
yeah,
think like that third one was like, and then he had the whole brother situation in Rush Hour 3, and I'm like,
yeah,
your brother's Japanese and you are not Japanese, and it's just like,
yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff in that, but anyway, but what I wanted to do now is because it's getting about that time for our live stream to end, or for not live stream, excuse me. We're still streaming, everyone. Our podcast portion to end here, and so thank you so much, everyone, for watching all these years. I guess I didn't say so in the beginning, but if you are new here, consider hitting that follow button. 3 helps out, or subscribe button, I guess actually helps us out a lot. You can also find us on any podcast service, audio versions of this. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes. We are on Amazon. We're probably on every single weird thing that you can think of just because of the way that we do stuff. And yeah, I think it's been a pretty good ride this whole time. And yeah, find us on youtube.com/getatgaming. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Discord. I don't know what the link is. I kind of wish I could just make a link that's like discord.gg/whatever. I'm gonna look into that and see if I can do a personalized like vanity Discord thing for it. We might have to have more people or something, but I think that'd be cool. It just make it easier instead of giving like a weird thing. Um, but yeah, again, thank you so much everyone for stopping by. Again, these episodes are bi-weekly now, so you will be getting this audio upcoming week. So the week of the 11th, I guess, is when you're getting this audio, and then the Friday is when you're getting the video, and then we will see you the 25th, I guess. Yeah, 25th is when our next episode will be. Yeah, that'll be a fun time. But yeah, Ben, do you have anything else to say to the lovely people before we end the podcast?
just again, just like what Alex said, thank you very much. It has been an awesome 3 years. I'm hoping to have 3 more years, and we've got some really cool things planned for this year. So
For sure.
the only thing I have to say is to get at it.
Get at it.